the day before the Notre Dame BYU game. Of course, there was some high school football action across the country involving some Notre Dame commitments, including a guy that probably is as popular as any of the recruits, and that is CJ Carr, the five-star quarterback from Michigan, who is a verbal commitment to the Fighting Irish in the class of 2024. Mike, I understand it was just kind of one of those Friday nights for CJ Carr where everything seemed a little difficult.
Darren, sometimes in my line of work, there's just a day where I can't get anyone to pick up the phone for me. No one's texting me back. Just in a funk, can't write anything. It's just like one of those days, just getting beat on stuff. Just trash this day, go on to the next. That was kind of the day that Notre Dame quarterback commit CJ Carr had against Bedford, a team in Michigan, and they got shut out, lost 7-0. It was just a real negative perfect storm, for this Saline team. Bedford ran a triple option ball control offense. So they just ate the clock until there was no clock left. Carr could not get things going in the passing game, whether he was missing some guys. His receivers were dropping passes, questionable play calling. The running game couldn't get going. Just really, it was just a bad day for the Saline offense. Carr still made some really nice throws, but then there'd be instances where he just bombs one and, his receiver is called out of bounds. It's maybe just has a fraction of his toes on the white line. So it was just all in all, nothing was clicking, and that high-powered offense got shut out. So I wrote an article on Saturday morning, kind of taking it away, and I'm like, listen, I was there. I took video. I have to write something about this. I wouldn't be doing my job, but I wanted to warn folks that, I'm going to give you this information because I have to, but you need the context of that. This is one game, and this is as bad as it gets. It's going to be fine. Don't freak out, folks. Remember Drew Pine in that spring game? Wow, Drew Pine's washed. He can't play. This guy should never see. What's he completing? 70-some% of his passes? People, calm down. Don't be so overreactionary. Of course, folks on our loose emoji board still were a little bit, but I get it. That's just the nature of fanatics to react that way. But listen, he's fine. He's a darn good quarterback. You see him in warmups, just dropping dimes all over the place. Even in the game, still had some nice throws. 6 for 25 for 88 yards is not going to wow anybody. No touchdowns, no turnovers. But listen, I think all in all, Darren, this was a good experience for CJ Carr because he now, to my knowledge, never has lost on that field. They've won something like 50 straight conference games.
Wow.
What do you do now? You're the junior Notre Dame top 25 recruit in the country. How do you react now and lead your team? And they have a huge game coming up this Friday against, I believe, an undefeated team in the state of Michigan. So how do you pick yourself up? It's a great learning experience for CJ. Darren, there's not a single thing he could have done on that football field that would have maybe changed my opinion of him. Really is just an opportunity to go see him and talk to him, get good video of him. Otherwise, there's one game is not, he could have thrown for 500 yards and 8 touchdowns. It's okay, it's just, bad competition or, whatever. It's just not changing your opinion because you already know the player he is. Or if he stunk it up like he and his team did on Friday. Okay. Is he going to do that for 8 straight games? Is this going to be something that carries into his senior season? Not worried about it one bit, but since I did go there and it happened, it's something we have to talk about.
But the previous couple of weeks, Mike, he was pretty locked in, right? So this is almost an anomaly.
I can read you his stats, Darren, because he had been absolutely tearing it up. And on this, okay, so the week before he's 13 for 14, 250 yards, 5 touchdowns. The week before that, 18 of 23, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns. So, nothing to be concerned about, folks. it was just a stinker of a night. And again, Darren, I think that this is all in all going to be a good experience for him. You'd rather have this in your junior season of high school rather than, at Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. This kind of a out of the blue question. So this is one of my spitballs here, so I apologize in advance. Just following Notre Dame quarterback recruiting the last few years, is there always a common denominator that links all these guys together? Because I think about Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner being picked by Tommy Rees, and they have such different qualities. And now we're waiting for a 23 quarterback, and the 24 quarterback is CJ Carr. Is there a common trait amongst all these guys, or is there just a lot of dissimilarities between these guys? I'm just curious your thoughts.
Yeah, that's a good question. And when you brought up Pine, I remember, tracking his senior season, and boy, did he have some stinkers, like
Really?
bad games. Oh my gosh, yeah. Now Buckner, his junior year, I think that if I was playing on like me right now, Mike Singer, at 29 years old and totally out of shape, would probably be one of the better defenders he played. I mean, he was just bad competition. But what do you do against bad competition? You absolutely light it up, and Buckner accounted for 81 touchdowns his junior year, which is obviously phenomenal. But in terms of your common denominator, I mean, the Pine and Buckner couldn't be more differing styles. Carr is somewhere in between those two.
Combination.
The common denominator for me is that they're all fantastic young men, and I hope that people aren't like, oh, or of course you're going to go that route, Mike, rolling their eyes at me. But like, they're all fantastic kids with fantastic families. I've gotten blessed to know all three of those families, and they're all just great people, big time competitors, and all love Notre Dame. Now, the aspect of how they're all differing on the field, in today's age, Darren, I just think that we're having such a shift away from we have a pro style quarterback and a dual threat quarterback. You just have to be a quarterback. You have to be able to move around. Your Jack Cones of the world are few and far between now. And your, Lamar Jackson is, these are just rare guys nowadays. You have to be able to move because those defensive ends are so freakish, as football players. And if your offensive tackles can't hang, you got to be able to escape the pocket and move. So that's kind of my thought on that there.
Okay, very good. Mike Singer, Notre Dame football recruiting insider, Blue and Gold Illustrated, blueandgold.com.